This question is a trigonometry question. It says, if sine of theta is equal to 3/5 and theta is in quadrant 2, what is the exact value of cosine of theta? First things first, theta, found 3 times here, is just a variable used to represent an unknown angle. All right, so it can function like x, but we use that specifically to denote an unknown angle. And then the other piece of this question we want to know, and just make it our foundational knowledge, is the quadrant. So if you don't know the 4 different quadrants, you want to know that for the ACT. That will make things easier in a lot of ways. So the top right quadrant, where both x and y are positive, is quadrant 1. And then it moves in a counterclockwise direction. So this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and bottom right is quadrant 4. So again, you're going to want to know that. It'll help you with questions similar to this one, because what this is telling us is that theta occurs in quadrant 2. And theta always comes from the origin. So we could draw an angle going out into quadrant 2, and it gets formed with the horizontal. So right there is angle theta. And we can then use the fact that we know some things about right triangle trigonometry to help us solve for these trigonometric functions. All right, so if angle theta is there in quadrant 2, and we are told that sine is equal to 3/5, we can use, hopefully, what we know about right triangle trig, the concept of Soh-Cah-Toa, where the sine function is equal to its opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. So if we know that sine is equal to 3/5, the opposite is 3, the hypotenuse is 5. So this side length is 3, this side length is 5. Okay, then you may know that a right triangle can exist as a Pythagorean identity, as a 3, 4, 5 triangle. But if you didn't, we could solve for this missing piece, I'll say that it's x, by using the Pythagorean theorem. So again, the leg squared of a triangle plus the leg squared of the triangle is equal to the hypotenuse. So that would look like this. X squared plus 3 squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared, which is 5 squared. All right, we don't know what x squared is, so we'll just leave that. 3 squared is 9, and then 5 squared is 25. Trying to solve for x, let's subtract 9 to both sides, leaving us with x squared is equal to 16. And then we take the square root of both sides to get x by itself, and we get x is equal to the square root of 16 is 4. Okay, and really it can be plus or minus 4, positive or negative 4. And if we look at what we have in this situation, we could label x as 4, but then since it's in the second quadrant, we know that everything to the left of this y-axis is a negative x value. So this 4 must be negative. The 3 is positive in the y direction, and the hypotenuse will always be positive. Okay, so now that we know the third side of our right triangle, we can then answer what it is we're being asked. We're asked for the value of the cosine of theta. And cosine of theta in Soh-Cah-Toa, that's the CAH part, meaning cosine is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. So if we take that, we can answer the cosine. All right, so here's theta. The adjacent side means next to, and so the side that's next to theta that isn't the hypotenuse is this -4, and the hypotenuse is 5. So adjacent is -4, hypotenuse is 5. So cosine of theta is equal to -4 over 5, or -4/5, and we can find that in selection B.